All right, you ready, Mr. Rhodes? So we'll get position 8 up here, Demetrius Lamar.
Yes.
Come on up, officer. What's that? Who did? Oh, I think. Oh, yeah, he did. He went to the little police officer's room. What's your name, officer?
Point du jour.
I didn't understand that.
Oh, he was just telling, I was writing it down. I'll go ahead and swear again. You swear or affirm testimony about to give is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you have a seat and then kind of pull that microphone down and speak into it and spell your name for the court reporter.
All right. Good morning.
You might want to like pull it, that microphone, pull it down toward.
Good morning. I'm Officer Point du jour at Model Police Department. Last name POINT-J-DU-JOUR.
You hear him okay, Madam Court Reporter?
Yes, I got it. Yes, thank you.
Okay. They're about to bring him up now, so.
Thank you.
Oh, 7 here.
So what's going on?
Yeah, right. Yeah. We're just missing the officer for Hanks or officers.
Oh, Mr. Romero.
All right, here we go, boss, to get, number 8. 22 CP 213469, Demetrius Lamar, 94 days without indictment, possession, purchase or have control of controlled substance Schedule 1 or narcotics Schedule 2, criminal trespass and certain acts, bus, rail, or station prohibited. He has a $2,500 good bond as of 10/26, but we'll just go ahead and address it again, okay?
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Good morning, Your Honor, 88 Norwood for the state. Permission to remain seated.
Yes, sir.
All right, we have called Officer Point du jour here as our witness. Good morning, officer. Thank you for being here. Where are you currently employed?
Marta Police Department,
How long have you been employed there?
2 years.
What are your duties with your current agency?
I am a plainclothes officer for the department.
Are you post-certified?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any prior law enforcement experience?
No.
Were you post-certified on the date of this incident, October 25th, 2022?
Yes.
Can you tell the court about the incident that occurred on October 25th, 2022? How did your investigation of Demetrius Lamar begin?
You wouldn't mind if I read from my report?
You can look at it and refresh your recollection, and then,
Yes, if you need to look down, you can look down, but you can't read from the report.
yeah.
Okay. On October 25th, at approximately 14:44 hours, while patrolling Garnett Marta Station in plainclothes, I observed a unknown black male, later identified as Demetrius Lamar, retrieving cash for alcoholic beverages that he did possess in a black bag. I approached the male with my Marta Police badge displayed, announcing Marta Police, placing him into handcuffs with both hands behind his back, double locked, escorting him to the staff from further processing. Search incident to arrest. I located a clear bag containing crystallized substance suspected of methamphetamine. A identification was located on him, in which a GCIC, NCIC, and MARTA suspension check was conducted, in which he did have a MARTA suspension, meaning that he's not supposed to be on the MARTA property within that MARTA suspension time, which will lead to arrest for criminal trespass to a charge.
All right. What is the address of Garnett MARTA Station?
It's gonna be 235 Peachtree Street, Atlanta, Georgia.
Is that in Fulton County?
Yes, sir.
All right. With respect to your initial encounter with Demetrius Lamar, were you in the course of your regular duties,
Yes.
which include patrolling the MARTA stations, making sure individuals are following the rules?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what did you see when you first saw this defendant?
I observed him selling alcoholic beverages from a black bag, meaning he was retrieving cash for the alcoholic shots that he had in his bag.
And you saw the alcohol?
Yes.
Okay. And then upon the investigation continuing, what happened next?
So search incident to arrest, a clear bag containing crystallized substance suspected of methamphetamine was located. Also, the evidence, which is the shots bottle, were retrieved too at the same time.
Based on how did you arrive to think or believe that it was suspected methamphetamine?
Through knowledge, training, experience.
Okay. How much was it?
Approximately, it was less than an ounce for sure.
Okay. And this Lamar had an ID on him?
Yes.
Do you see the person in the courtroom who you identified as a suspect? You can
Everybody
stand
take
up.
your mask off, please.
You can stand up.
Okay.
And can you describe where he or she is sitting and what he or she is wearing?
Mr. Dimitri is going to be the black male with a salt and pepper beard and a blue jumpsuit.
You can have a seat now.
Thank you.
Let the record reflect, Your Honor, that the officer has identified the defendant, Demetrius Lamar.
All right, noted.
All right.
There you go.
What part of the MARTA station was this in?
It's going to be on the street level at the bottom of Garnett MARTA station,
Okay.
right next to the MARTA sign.
Were there any witnesses?
Officer Bell.
Did you Were there any other patrons that witnessed this or anything?
No, not at all.
Was this encounter caught on MARTA CCTV?
Not clear right now.
Did you have your body cam on?
Our operations don't allow us to carry body cams at that time.
Okay. So you would just have to double check if it was on the CCTV.
Yes.
Okay. What time was this again?
For approximately 14:45 hours.
It's like early afternoon,
Yes.
and you were pro certified on this day.
Yes, sir.
All right. No further questions from the state at this time.
All right, Cross?
Yes, sir. Good morning, officer. One more time, what was your name?
I'm Officer Point du jour.
Point du jour. So you were patrolling this Garnet MARTA station on October 4th?
Yes, sir.
And you said that you noticed a black male.
Later identified as Demetrius Lamar.
Yes. And what he appeared suspicious to you because he had alcohol on him?
He was selling alcohol.
Did you?
I observed him retrieve the cash for an alcohol shot.
Okay. Did you happen to speak with the person who exchanged cash?
No.
Okay, so you just spoke with Mr. Lamar?
Yes.
And Mr. Lamar was situated, you said at 235 Peachtree Street.
Yes, sir. Which is the address to Garnet MARTA station.
Do you remember if he was in front of a smoking booth?
Yes, but in the location he was at, it was next to a MARTA barrier, which is considered MARTA property.
Okay. When you say next to a MARTA barrier, let me back up. I know that at this location, it's bordered with a Greyhound station. Is
Yes.
that correct?
In which we have a gray MARTA barrier right there that says MARTA property.
All right. And you're saying that he was on the MARTA side
Yes,
of
sir.
that barrier? Okay. And you were in plain clothes, you said, right?
Yes, sir.
And that does not permit wearing body cam?
Yes, sir. Per MARTA policy for our agency.
All right. And you're not sure if there was any, CCTV recording of the encounter?
Not sure. But myself and Officer Bell witnessed it. We observed them.
How are you able to determine that the beverages in question were alcoholic?
When we retrieved the bottles, we did look at it. It was a Taka vodka alcohol shot, which is predominantly sold in that area.
All right. And your testimony is that you witnessed Mr. Lamar exchange money for one of those shots.
No, he exchanged money for the shots that he was selling. Yes.
Now, the meth that was recovered, you said it was less than an ounce?
Yes.
Was it tested in any way?
It was submitted to crime lab.
All right. Do you happen to know the results of the crime lab testing?
Negative at this time.
And where you found this bag of meth, where on Mr. Lamar's person?
Yes, sir. On this person.
Was it in a pocket of his?
Not clear right now.
Not clear about the question?
Not clear of the location, but it was
Okay.
located on him.
All right. So you don't know if it was inside any of his clothes at all?
It was within on his clothing.
Okay.
I'm not clear which pocket, but it was on his person at the time. Search incident to arrest.
All right, officer. Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, thank you.
Anything else?
Just very briefly, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead.
Where was the bag of alcohol in relationship to a defendant when you first encountered the selling of the alcohol?
It was right next to him.
I was right next to him.
Yes, right next to him on the ground.
And just for it's prohibited to possess alcohol on MARTA?
Yes, it is
And-
used vending without a permit or without through MARTA proper, through authorization through MARTA to sell. Selling alcohol is prohibited on MARTA.
And you did a GCIC and an NCIC check,
Yes,
and that's what revealed the MARTA suspension check.
yes, in which he also returned with a warrant out of the cab.
Nothing further from the state at this time.
All right. Anything else?
No, Judge.
This your only case, sir? You can be excused.
May our officer be excused at this time.
Yeah.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead. You can stay safe out there. Get some rest.
All right.
All right. Argument?
State will submit on the evidence, Your Honor, subject to rebuttal.
Mr. Rhodes?
Appreciate it. I'll go. Yeah.
Judge, the defense will submit on the evidence.
All right, I find probable cause on the purchase, possess, or have control of substance in Schedule 1 or 2, criminal trespass and certain acts on the bus, rail, or station prohibited. He's got a $2,500 bond as of October the 26th, pre-trial.
Prior arrest history?
What's that?
No prior arrest history?
You sure you're on the right one? Because I'm looking on here and he's been arrested. He has several arrested cases in Fulton County.
Which guy you said?
Demetrius Lamar. Number 8.
They saw me over Judge this morning. He said Reynolds.
What'd you say, Bostic?
Thought you said Reynolds.
No.
I gotta run that one too.
All right, well, go ahead with your argument, Mr. Lamar. Mr. Rhodes.
Yes, Judge, I'm ready. Mr. Lamar is 55 years old. As noted, he's been in jail for 94 days on a $2,500 bond. He unfortunately is unable to make that bond. Mr. Lamar is a lifelong Georgia resident. He's not a flight risk at all. Previously, he was living at 575 Pryor Street, which would be Gateway. He believes he would be able to return once released. Of course, he does have a decab hold, so he wouldn't be released immediately. But still, he does have an Atlanta base. It is right down the street. He wouldn't be a flight risk. He had been doing temporary work in construction. He was working that for 3 to 4 years prior to his arrest. Again, all of his family is located in Georgia. We've been trying to get him into a program. We've been unsuccessful at this time, but we are still working on it. Judge, considering he cannot afford bond, and, as you've just heard, the facts of the case, essentially the only felony here is for less than a gram of methamphetamine. I would hope that Mr. Lamar would be able to, get out of jail. We don't know how long it will take until this case gets indicted, honestly. So I ask that his bond be reduced to a UJR to allow him to take care of business in DeKalb County and ultimately come back to court when the time comes.
Mr. Norwood?
Yes, Judge. The state would object to a UGR, just given, I'm looking at the criminal history. I'm seeing an extensive criminal history with cycles starting in the mid 1980s. The last conviction was in June of 2022 for possession of Schedule 2. He got 2 years community time served. So the state is just concerned about the significant risk of reoffending pending trial here. The danger posed to the patrons of MARTA, given the prohibited acts observed by the officer. The cab warrant is also concerning to the state, some multi-county history. So we would submit there is some risk of ties to the community here returning to the jurisdiction. Nothing further from the state.
All right. Mr. Rhodes, it just looks like when he gets arrested, he supplies an address in Houston, Texas. So I'm not sure why he does that. But we're going to do no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 235 Peachtree Street and all MARTA property. Sir, you're already criminal trespass from there. Now I'm sure MARTA has completely banned you from MARTA property. So you can't go back on any MARTA property. And they probably let you know that when they arrested you. You have to provide an address upon release to the jail. So, you've got to give the name of where you're going to stay, address where you're going to stay to the jail and to your lawyer so they can file it into the case so they'll know where you're going to live. Let's see, 1,000, then 150, and then 750. 1,000, 150, 750. Who's that? You got that, Ms. Rowland?
Yes, Judge. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Best of luck to you. Anybody else work overnight last night? Don't lie. All right, so we'll go ahead. Mr. Cho, you've got 2 cases. So who wants to go next? Between Mr. Cho, Ms. Sarfaraz. Mr. Cho, I know we've got yours here for Lionel Guy. You want to wait on the GCIC?
Just to give the state a heads up to.
They ran the criminal, I ran the regular criminal history and somebody else did the driving.
Is this the fourth or subsequent offense?
I was just going to ask the officer to confirm.
It doesn't say in the warrant.
Oh,
Able to
yeah.
get CIC.
You can ask the officer, I guess it's. Sure. Yes, sir. See you this evening if you got anything.
Oh, there it is.
What'd you say, Bostic?
I'm pulling it up.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
I'm sorry. Okay, so they ran these.
So, Lionel Guy, number 6. Oh, you can come on down, officer, for the Lionel Guy case.
Now, just for the record, the GCI, I get the GCIC and the NCICs. I don't get the driving history. So this is just us working together with the officers, and they have independent sources of information that confirm the
Okay.
incident dates as well. So that's what I'm relying on.
Wonder why doesn't that show up? It should show up on your GCIC.
I've seen some of them, but as far as the information that officer received, I mean, that somebody looked it up and gave the officer the information.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right, officer, raise your right hand. You swear affirm testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right, you can have a seat, sit down, get your name and spell it for the court reporter.
Sergeant John Hicks, Fulton County Sheriff's Office, last name spelling of Henry Ida X-ray.
All right.
All right, this is a position 6, 22 CP 213-445. Lionel Guy, been in 95 days without indictment, driving while license suspended or revoked, fourth or subsequent offense, failure to maintain lane, holding a wireless device for voice communication, fleeing or attempting to elude a peace officer. He has a $5,000 split bond as of October 25th, so we'll take up bond, Mr. Cho. Go ahead, Mr. Norwood.
Thank you, Your Honor. State's witnesses, Sergeant Hicks. Good morning, Sergeant.
Good morning.
Appreciate you being here. Could you please introduce yourself to the court? Where are you currently employed?
Sergeant John Hicks, Fulton County Sheriff's Office, assigned to Special Operations K-9 Unit.
All right. How long have you been employed there?
I've been with Fulton County for 10 months.
What are your duties with your current agency and unit?
We are specialized in K-9. I'm an explosive K-9 handler for the county.
But does some of that encompass traffic stops?
Of course. So we're basically self-initiating unit. We look for all and any offenses, whether it be traffic. We assist other agencies when it comes to their specialized needs as well. So we basically assist in all areas of law enforcement.
Do you have any prior law enforcement experience?
Total of 15 years.
Okay. All in Georgia?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Columbus and Roswell as well.
All right. Are you post-certified?
Yes, sir.
Were you post-certified on the date of this incident?
Yes, sir.
1 second. Let me get my notes together.
You're fine.
So you were post-certified on October 24th, 2022?
Yes, sir.
All right. Can you tell the court about the incident that occurred on October 24th, 2022? How did your investigation of Lionel Guy begin?
Originally, I was traveling westbound on I-20 and observed a driver in a tannish colored vehicle holding a wireless device, got behind the vehicle, ran the tag, and attempted to initiate a traffic stop by turning on my blue lights. Upon doing so, the driver visually made eye contact through its rearview mirror. I could see him kind of looking up, looking back, looking around, moving around a good little bit in the vehicle. However, did not decelerate at all, did not maintain its lane and changed lanes several times. The driver then continued to flee at the same speed or accelerating, moving on to 285, traveling northbound. Traveled about approximately 3 to 4, maybe 5 more miles. Upon then stopping on the shoulder of 285, which time the traffic stop was conducted.
All right. Is I-20 westbound when you first encountered this Mr. Guy? Is that in Fulton County?
Yes, sir.
Was the place where you stopped on 285? Is that also in Fulton County?
Yes, sir. Just prior to getting into Cobb.
Okay, but the entire incident took place in Fulton County.
Yes, sir.
Okay. When you stopped the car, what happened next?
I approached the driver's vehicle, got his information, took the keys from the vehicle. Other units arrived due to the chase that incurred. He was then immediately removed from the vehicle and detained. We then identified him, ran his information, came back, and he was subsequently charged for those traffic violations and fleeing and loot.
Yes. During the process of the stop, did you check the defendant's GCIC, NCIC, and driver's history?
Yes, sir. I ran that through our dispatch, who advised that he had several violations for driving on suspended license or whatnot. That was also confirmed through our GCIC, which is the reason for that particular charge.
Okay. And the defendant's driver's license, what was the status of it on October 24th, 2022?
It was suspended.
Okay. And does dispatch regularly advise of the the driver's license statuses of those you stopped?
That is correct.
Okay, so you would say it's a regular course of your duty to rely on information from dispatch?
Always.
And dispatch advised that this defendant had prior driver's license suspensions within a 5-year period,
Correct.
which is the basis for the charge here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. And you had no reason to question that?
No, sir. It is our typical practice. It also shows up on our screens.
Okay. How did you identify the defendant on that
Through
day?
his driver's license he provided, as well as the picture that showed up on our GCIC hit.
Which was suspended at that time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you see the person in the courtroom who was identified as a suspect today?
Everybody take their mask off.
You can stand up. Can you describe where he or she is sitting and what he or she is wearing?
He is sitting to my left wearing a issued blue jumpsuit, beard, goatee, and a black face mask.
All right, you can have a seat now.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Your Honor, may the record reflect that the officer has identified the defendant, Linnell Guy.
So noted.
All right. Were there any witnesses of this incident?
Not of the actual pursuit or traffic violations. The other officers did not arrive until I had him stopped on the side of the road.
Okay, okay. Did you capture this stop on your body cam?
The interaction with him was captured on body camera. Yes, sir.
Was there any dash cam?
No, sir.
Okay. But you did observe the defendant with a wireless device in his hand?
That's correct.
And upon you blue lighting him, he did not immediately make an effort to.
No, he actually remained on his phone. I'm not sure who he was speaking with or what he was doing, but he remained on his phone. Meanwhile, still traveling in and out of lanes, failure to signal, as well as merging onto, 285.
Okay, okay. About how long was the distance from when you first blue lighted the defendant until you all stopped?
I would say total incident was probably between 7 to 10 miles.
All right. What time of day was this?
This was approximately midday, I would say, around give or take.
Okay. Were there a lot of other drivers on the road?
I would say medium traffic.
Okay, but based on your description of the driving, would you say the public was at risk?
Definitely. His failure to abide and, abide by traffic laws definitely put the motoring public at risk.
All right. And you were pro-certified on this date, October 24th, 2022?
That's correct.
No further questions for the witness at this time, Your Honor.
All right, Cross.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Sergeant.
Good morning.
Were you in the vehicle with anyone else?
No, sir. My police issue K9.
Okay. And you did not see an actual driving infraction in this case visually, is that right?
That is not correct. The driving infraction originally was him holding a cell phone while operating a motor vehicle.
Were you able to see if the cell phone was on or off?
It was held to his head with his right hand.
Were you able to see if the cell phone was on or off?
During my initial interaction, no. It was only seen upon pulling him over that it was still actually on, yes.
Did you check the call logs to see if the phone was actually being used for a phone call?
No, sir. However, I will say that shortly after, a young lady did pull up to the scene advising that she was on the phone with him during the interaction.
Who was that lady and what was her name?
That I do not know. I had already removed the individual from the side of the highway for safety reasons.
Did you ask her who she was on the phone with?
No, sir, I did not. Other officers who were on scene had spoken with her. I, again, was gone prior to her arrival.
So you don't have any information about this lady or whether she was on the phone?
I do not know.
Okay. Were the other officers who arrived, did they write any reports in this case?
Not that I am aware of, no.
Okay, so you're the main primary?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. You decided to do a check on the tag you decided to do a check on the tag, is that correct? For the vehicle?
In which regard do you mean, sir?
In regards to the vehicle?
That is a standard practice on every vehicle, yes.
And who was the registered owner?
I would have to refer back to my records on that, sir.
Okay, if you can refresh your recollection with your notes.
You can look at your notes. I have the warrants here if you want to take a look.
I'd have to, I would actually have to then go get, pull that report back up, sir.
Okay, so it's in your actual police report?
That is correct. It's in the report, sir.
Okay. When you, is your vehicle equipped with dash camera?
No, sir, it is not.
Okay. And is body camera on inside your vehicle?
It was on upon me pulling the individual over and exiting the vehicle. Yes, sir.
And pardon my ignorance, is there a reason why a body camera is not activated during the driving portion of this incident?
It wouldn't record anything due to where it sits on my vest inside the vehicle. So I activated upon exiting the vehicle.
Your vehicle is not one where blue lights will activate dash camera?
No, sir. I do not have a dash camera in my patrol unit.
Okay. There were no other driving infractions that you charged besides fleeing, attempting to elude until the vehicle stopped. Is that correct?
No, sir, that is not correct. He was also charged with holding a wireless device, which is a traffic infraction.
Besides that, which we've already talked about, it's the only other driving infraction.
That is correct.
Okay. And there were no injuries or no harm to any vehicles on the highway up to the stop. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Mr. Guy was cooperative with you when the vehicle stopped?
To an extent.
He did not obstruct you in any kind of way. Is that correct?
That's correct.
You did not find any contraband in the vehicle, including drugs?
That is correct.
You did not find any illegal firearms or anything of that nature. Is that correct?
That's correct.
When you check to see if someone has a suspended license, what's the process?
That information is provided by our dispatchers, which is then confirmed by GCIC. Also confirmed by our in-vehicle computers.
Okay. What did dispatch tell you in this case?
That he had several violations for a suspended license, as well as the GCIC hit that came back to the computer.
When dispatch tells you that, did they give you the dates of the infractions previous to this?
The dates are listed in the on the printout as well, which is held by GCIC.
Do you have the dates with you today?
I do not.
Are you able to testify to any time period for these previous infractions?
They were all, the ones that were listed to me were all within the past 5 years.
Would that be recorded on your body camera, the information on your computer?
That I am not sure if it was captured or not.
And who was dispatched for this on this day speaking with you?
You're referring to the dispatcher's name?
Yes.
Oh, that I do not know. We're not given their names.
I don't have any other questions. Thank you so much, Sergeant.
Any more direct?
Nothing further from the state at this time, Your Honor.
All right, that's it for this officer?
Yes, Mayor Officer, be excused.
Yes, stay safe out there.
Will do. Thank you.
All right, go ahead with the argument.
Yes, Judge. One moment, please. Have a good one. Appreciate you.
Judge, I have pertinent information.
What did you say?
I have pertinent information, actually.
Okay,
What is the information?
They're not driving with suspended license. They're just suspensions. And they're not within the last 5 years.
Judge, that was our understanding as well. I understand that
They're for
this may
years.
not be sworn testimony for now, but I do think that
I'm listening.
I do think that the state has an obligation to actually check the driving license history and rectify the situation?
I
Um,
was,
The correct charge?
the suspensions are from 99, 2004, and 2001. He has been arrested for driving with a suspended license in 2013, 2021, and 2022.
like, more than 4. Our officer's testimony is the same. I've just brought.
But
the
she said
petition.
she's been arrested for driving with suspended license 13, 21, 22.
But there are no dispositions on that. The suspensions, he's only, on his driver's license, he only has suspensions. He only has one notation for driving with suspended license. But the suspensions are for FTAs. So he do have 4 suspensions.
When 13, 21, and 22, was he charged with driving with suspended license?
He was charged with driving with suspended license. What the 22 is this case.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, if we may, we'll just recall our officer, just to reiterate what he just told me.
All right.
Exactly, just what they told you to do. The state has recalled our witness, Sergeant Hicks, just to discuss his understanding of what dispatch advised him. And again, the state has checked the GCI and NCIC, but I do not receive the driver's history. So again, this is a process of, and during the process of indicting this case, that would be confirmed, that you would have to do that. But at this juncture, we're just establishing probable cause. And at this juncture, the officer has testified, and he's going to further testify as to what dispatch advised him. He has already said that is a reliable information that cannot be reasonably disputed. But Officer or Sergeant Hicks, can you just talk about the process of verifying the defendant's GCIC, NCIC, and criminal history and driver's history?
Yes. So upon the stop on the side of the road, all we're given is what's relayed to us through dispatch. That information is what I had testified to earlier. As far as what you in regards to, I guess the statute or not, I was told that was what the charges were, or that's what the criminal or driving history rather was. Hence the charges that they were elevated to, instead of just driving on a suspended license.
So the dispatch advised that's what you must do.
No, they didn't. They won't tell us that we have to, but
Okay.
based upon the information they relayed to me, the charge that was being cited is what fit.
What was that information that they relayed to you?
That he had the multiple suspensions within that time frame.
Multiple driving while license suspended, either guilty or NOLO within 5 years?
That's the way it was explained to me. Yes,
Okay, more than 4.
that's what I was told. That he had. I was told 5 was the number.
And they gave you the dates?
They did. They provided the dates.
And those dates are available in a report?
I would assume that they're on the report that they have when they pulled the history.
Okay. With respect to the process of this, I just want to revisit that while we have you up again. Would you say he was fleeing at a high rate of speed?
He was traveling over the speed limit, yes, sir.
And that
And he was maneuvering in and out of traffic, attempting to not be stopped. He was not adhering to the request of me blue lighting him, again, activating sirens as well.
I'm going to object to this. The witness was off the bench. Now we're veering into territory that has nothing to do with the subject that.
I previously asked for the officer to be excused. I was going to just revisit some of my argument while we could, but that's fine, Your Honor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So this would have been his 4th. The 5th. Okay. You want to ask him anything else about his testimony as far as the driving with license suspended or revoked?
Very quickly,
Sure.
Sergeant, I have no issue with your testimony. I believe you're under oath and that you were making a best faith, good faith representation of what occurred. So I just want to be clear. We were talking about this license suspension issue from the beginning of court. But I do have a quick couple of questions, if you don't mind. Did you put the specific dates and alleged convictions in your report?
I did not.
Okay. And I know that this is information relayed to you. Is the only record of that information relayed to you verbal?
As far as what I have, so what came up on my computer was just that there were several suspensions. As far as the convictions and all that stuff, that was relayed to me via dispatch.
Okay. And as far as you are aware, the convictions, because that's what matters in
Correct.
this case, are you aware if those convictions were on your computer as well, or was
The
that?
convictions would not be on my computer, no.
Okay.
We don't receive that information. We
You-
receive the suspensions and suspension dates.
I apologize for interrupting.
Oh, you're fine.
Okay. As far as suspensions, as a law enforcement officer, you are aware that licenses can be suspended for other things like not paying child support, et cetera, correct?
That is correct.
And that would be different than convictions. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And I don't have any further questions.
Anything else?
No further questions,
All
Your
right,
Honor.
thank you, Sergeant.
All
Once
right.
again, stay safe out there.
Have a great day.
Y'all have a good one.
All right. Argument.
Yes, Judge. We'll submit on the evidence, subject to rebuttal with respect, but just two notes with the respect to the first charge, driving while license suspended and revoked. We will investigate that, but at this juncture for a probable cause hearing, we would say based on the officer's testimony, we have met that threshold. He received information from a reliable source, dispatch, that there were he said 5 driving while license suspended or revoked, guilty or no pleas. That was the officer's testimony. We will of course verify that prior to indictment. But that is what the officer's testimony was. With respect to the fleeing or attempting to elude a police officer, we would ask that you upgrade that to a felony fleeing or eluding police officer based on the officer's testimony where he was traveling at high rate of speed, going in and out of lanes with a phone in his hand that placed the public at risk of harm or danger. Nothing further from the state at this time.
Mr. Cho.
Judge, we would strenuously object to the charge of fleeing and attempting to elude to be increased at this time. Officer was on scene. He was the primary officer, as you heard in the testimony, and it is his warrant, J.S. Hicks III, that was submitted to a judge and sworn testimony. And his sworn testimony was, said accused, observed myself behind him with both blue lights and siren activated, at which time the accused continued travel, picking up speed, changing lanes, exiting from on freeway to another at no time, indicating he was attempting to stop or look for a safe place to stop. That is the allegation in the warrant. As far as if the state would like to add it to become felony, they would need to specify a certain amount over the speed limit, a specific threshold. It is not sufficient to just allege speeding in this situation when the statute is very clear that there has to be a certain number over the speed limit. It can't be 1 over the speed limit. That would not be sufficient for fleeing, attempting to elude. Further, you heard testimony from the officer that there were no other injuries or harm to any members of the public before the vehicle was stopped. And you also heard as well that while there was traffic, there were no, there are not any indications at this point as to which specific danger there was to the public. As far as driving with license suspended or revoked, I'm going to agree with ADA Norwood's his argument for probable cause. I believe that's correct. And I would trust ADA Norwood to as to what he's already said. And I know the state will check and not indict on a case that would be obviously incorrect. I believe we've heard that a GCIC and NCIC were looked at. I would also agree that a driver's license history is probably the most relevant document. And that was the one that apparently has not been looked at this point. So as far as the probable cause portion, we will submit to the court on the rest of the charges. I will strenuously object to an increase at this time based on the lack of testimony, specific testimony for an upgrade to fleeing and attempting to elude. I will ask the court to consider Officer Bostic's information at the subsequent bond hearing after the conclusion of this probable cause hearing.
All right. So I've got the warrant pulled up for the fleeing and attempting to elude. And it says the driver continued to travel on I-20 westbound, picking up speed and changing lanes, and all in an attempt to elude me. During this pursuit, at no time did the driver indicate he was looking for a safe place to stop, nor did he stop when those locations presented themselves. The driver continued on I-20 on Georgia Interstate 285 in excess of 65, 70 miles per hour until he finally came to a stop at 285 on Fulton Road. So yeah, he wasn't looking for one. So I'll find probable cause on all of them, and I don't think I could, I mean, maybe you can do it in the indictment, but as far as I heard, well, because I don't know what the speed limit was there where he got on 285, because it changes on 285 all the time on those little digital speed limit signs. So I won't upgrade it right now, but definitely talking on the phone and changing lanes in and out, that is dangerous. So I'll find probable cause on all the charges. Driving with suspended license, failure to maintain lane, holding a wireless device for voice communication, and fleeing and attempting to elude. All right, so he's been in custody 95 days with a $5,000 split bond as of October 25th. Wow.
With regards to Mr. Guy, the driving offense, he has a total of, go down to the end. He has a total of 27 prior arrests. This was his last arrest. Probation violation. He appears to have the open case, the 21 case for the driving with suspended license and hit and run in the cab. Last conviction was 2016 for a battery family violence felony out of the cab. A couple of FTAs, which is for driving offenses, which was on his driving history. And that was 2011, nothing further.
All right, thanks, Boston. Go ahead, Mr. Cho.
Judge, Mr. Guy has a good address, 143 Eastwood Circle, Decatur, Georgia. He's married. He's the father of 5. He's heavily invested in this case. He's also has a grandchild as well. He has his forklift certification, and Your Honor, he's not able to afford the bond at this time. It's my belief that this alleged felony for driving with suspended license is incorrect. And I will send the information to the state to get resolved, but we'd ask the court to consider, based on Officer Bostic's running of the driver license history today, so is up to date and recent, and the lack of convictions, which is what is required at this point. We are asking the court to consider UJR for that charge. And we'll defer to the court.
All right. Mr. Norwood?
Yes, Your Honor. We would submit that a $5,000 split bond. I'm showing $2,500 on the driving while license suspended or revoked, $2,500 on the fleeing or attempting to elude a police officer is abundantly fair and reasonable, particularly with respect to the fleeing or attempting to elude police officer. I do believe it was officer's testimony that he was exceeding the speed limit, but we did not establish the speed limit, but 65, 70 miles an hour is typically what it is on 285. But with respect to Ayala, we'll submit that it was that there's significant danger posed to the public, other drivers on the road, given the lack of licensure to the proper licensing to operate a vehicle, and the description of the fleeing or eluding, as well as a significant risk of reoffending pending trial should the defendant make bond. They have an open case in DeKalb. There does seem to be an issue with the licensing that's habitual in nature. And given the nature of this incident, we would submit there is some risk of not returning to this jurisdiction to face the charges. Nothing further from the state.
All right. And it's pretty dangerous failure to maintain insurance. Then somebody else is going to have to take the ding on their insurance. I'll do 2,000 on the driving while license suspended or revoked. I'll keep the others, 2 other charges, UJR to failure to maintain and holding the wireless device, and then the fleeing attempting, 2,000. So it's a $4,000 split bond. Sir, no driving unless, no alcohol, no driving, no drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. No driving during the pendency of this case. Your licenses are suspended. No driving. None. But I'm so glad you live in Decatur because you can stay out of Fulton County unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer. We're going to make sure you're not going to be driving because you're going to have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, except for court, lawyer, medical, and employment. You have to provide Mr. Cho where you're going to be working, the location, if you get a job somewhere, the name of your employer, and proof of that employment. You'll have 48 hours to have that ankle monitor placed on your ankle in the event DeKalb County or there's a hold somewhere. So if you go to DeKalb and there's charges, you got 48 hours to get in touch with the ankle monitoring company. Mr. Cho can give you that information and get that ankle monitor placed on your ankle. Best of luck to you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. So do we not have the cops for Mr. Hanks yet?
I have APD Officer Forston and APD. He's for both Hanks, Officer Forston. I do not see the officer for that. We do have one for one that Jerome Daniels. I do not. Is Officer Stone here? We just have Officer Howard.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So let's see. Miss Pinto got a lot of yours. Miss Alfarasi, you want to go ahead and go on yours? All right. Patrick Noel.
That would be Officer Denninger. Yes.
But raise your right hand, Deputy swear you in.
Do you swear or affirm that testimony that our statements you're about to give will be true, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. For the right hand, I see you just to the microphone. Please close your eyes.
Trent Denninger, last name Denninger.
All right, stand by. Them get him out here.
No.
Patrick Noel. Let me see. He's been in 144 days. When was his last bond?
In December, Your Honor.
All right, and we'll just go ahead and address it, because if not, he's going to end back up to night court.
Yes, Your Honor, we would love that.
Okay. All right. This is 22 CP 212056, Patrick Emmanuel Noel, 144 days without indictment. Right now, there is a $25,350 good bond, possession of marijuana, manufacture, distribution, or sale of marijuana, possession of MDMA, possession of cocaine with intent to distribute, possession of a firearm, knife during the commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies, pedestrian and roadway, possession of drug-related objects, drugs not in original container, possession of dangerous drugs, and willful obstruction. I'm so used to doing this at night. Pretrial, I'll get back to you in a little bit. Go ahead, Mr. Northworth.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Officer. Denninger, is that how you say it?
Denninger.
Denninger, okay. Could you please introduce yourself to the court? Where are you currently employed?
I'm currently employed with the Fulton County Sheriff's Office.
Okay. How long have you been employed there?
Since December 7th of last year.
Okay. Do you have any prior law enforcement experience?
Yes, I have over 4 years at Atlanta Police Department.
Were you with the Atlanta Police Department on the date of this incident?
Yes, sir.
September 3rd, 2022?
Yes, sir. That's September 4th.
Oh, September 4th, 2022.
I mean, you said you were employed since December of last year. You mean 21? Because September comes way before December.
No, I was employed. I started my employment with Fulton County Sheriff's Office December 7th of 2022. This case took place September of 2022.
Yes. He was with APD.
Okay, all right. I
In
was
September.
like, I'm not that great at that, but that didn't seem to add up.
Yeah. Do you have any prior law enforcement experience to your time with APD?
Prior to APD? No,
Yes.
sir.
Okay. What were your what were your duties with APD at the time of this incident in September 2022?
During that time, I was on the Zone 5 Field Investigations team. We combated high crime areas around the city, but particularly in Zone 5, downtown, midtown Atlanta, ranging from narcotics to traffic to really whatever was the highest driving crime at the time or that they wanted us to tackle.
So did that include patrolling?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Were you pro-certified on September 4th, 2022?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell the court about the incident that occurred on that date, September 4th, 2022? How did your investigation of Patrick Noel begin?
Yes, sir. So on September 4th, 2022, at approximately around 9:12 p.m. that night, myself and two other officers were patrolling in the area around 50 Alabama Street. And we witnessed a man who we later identified to be Patrick Noel crossing the roadway outside of the crosswalk, not using the crosswalk, going from the south end of Alabama Street to the north end. So we got out of the vehicle to speak with him and announced ourselves as police, identified ourselves. And upon approaching him, I asked him if he would just turn around and let us detain him so we could talk to him without worrying about flight. Well, the first thing he did was he tried to flee. He pulled away from us with his arms, tried to move in the opposite direction of us, and upon grabbing us, decided he wanted to wrestle with us. So we had to bring him to the ground, properly detain him with department-approved techniques, got him in handcuffs, searched him incident to arrest. And at that time, during the search, he had a black crossbody bag on him, like one of the ones that goes across your chest. In that bag, we found approximately 81.4 grams of marijuana in two separate packages, plastic bags, approximately 60 counts of MDMA pills in a plastic cellophane bag, and then an additional one in another plastic bag. So 59 of those, I believe, were in one plastic cellophane bag, and then one was in a separate plastic cellophane bag. 3 penicillin pills and 1 hydrochloride pill. All of these were in the black crossbody bag, along with 2 knives, a marijuana grinder with residue and small bits of keef in the grinder, $348 in cash, $8.91 in change, along with his other various personal items that aren't contraband, things like cell phones, chargers, and whatnot. He also had 2.6 grams of crack cocaine separated into several different hits in his pants pocket. I do not recall which pocket in his pants, but they were in his pants pocket.
Okay.
And we found his ID that identified him as Mr. Patrick Emmanuel Noel Jr., date of birth, February 1st, 1979.
Okay. And you encountered, you encountered this defendant in the roadway, Alabama Street?
We witnessed him cross the roadway without using the crosswalk on Alabama Street. But by the time we had gotten to him, because he was walking quickly, he was on the sidewalk.
So it's around 50 Alabama Street?
Yes, sir.
It's 50 Alabama Street. Is that in Fulton County?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Were there any crosswalks nearby that could have been used?
Yes, sir. There's a crosswalk at every street direction on Alabama Street at the intersection with Peachtree Street.
Wow. With respect to what you found inside the bag subject to your search, how did you know those substances were what they were?
Through my knowledge, training, experience, I have several of similar cases of this with the Zone 5 Field Investigations team. I was there for a few years.
Okay, including the penicillin?
Yes, the penicillin.
Can't read it from your report, so you're going to look at it, refresh your
Oh, I'm
recollection.
sorry. Yeah, that's fine. So if I remember correctly, memory a little foggy on this one. One of the charges that I have on there is the prescription outside of its prescribed container. I can't remember if that was in reference to the penicillin or the hydrochloride bill, but I know that that's on the report.
Deputy, you can always look at your report to refresh your recollection. You just can't read. from
No,
it.
I understand.
Okay.
that. I understand.
So you're just looking at the amounts, that's what you were looking at before?
Yeah, I was just reading the amounts so that I wasn't giving you incorrect information regarding that.
Yeah, can you describe the knives that you found inside of the bag?
I do not recall exactly what they looked like.
Did you observe the pointed edge of the knives?
Oh, yes, of course. So there were two knives inside of the bag. They were edged weapons, edged blades. And they were inside of the same crossbody bag that the paraphernalia was in.
About how long were they, do you recall?
I don't know the exact length of the knives, but I remember them to be around the size of like your typical pocket knife. So the edged blade was probably around the size of my index finger around.
How many inches would you say your index finger is?
Like 4 inches, maybe.
More than 3 inches?
Yes, sir.
That's what you observed?
If I remember correctly, yes, sir.
Okay. With respect to the tussle that occurred, how did that happen?
So once Mr. Noel had crossed the street illegally without using the crosswalk, he had gotten onto the sidewalk on the side of Alabama Street nearest the MARTA station. When he was on the sidewalk, we approached him. We announced ourselves as Atlanta police, identified ourselves, and he kind of just pretended like he didn't hear us. And so we were like, "Hey, sir, excuse me, stop, Atlanta police." And then he turned around, kind of looked at us. I don't recall what he said. And then we told him to turn around. We were going to detain him. And he said something along the lines of, "No," or I'm not going to do that," or something along the lines, some kind of words of resistance saying that I'm not going to comply with what you were saying, to which he turned and continued walking. So at this point, I grabbed his arm to put him in handcuffs to detain him because he obviously wasn't going to comply with our verbal orders. And he kind of tried to rip his arms away and walk away, started screaming and hollering and decided he wanted to go to the ground. And so we wrestled him to the ground. He's trying to fight. He's trying to move. He's trying to get away from us, trying to get away from our compliance and control. So we place him in handcuffs and then we stand him back up and start the search.
Did you weigh the substances on the scene?
We might have weighed the substances on the scene, but I know for sure we weighed them when we got to the precinct.
Okay.
We might have also weighed them on the scene, but I don't recall.
Okay. And this, there was an ID on this person inside that bag?
Yes, sir.
And that's how you identified?
Yes, sir.
him? Okay.
We identified him via that, but we also run his name and everything with GCIC and confirmed that information lines up.
The GCIC and the NCIC?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you just, do you see the person in the courtroom today who you identified as a suspect?
Everybody take your mask off, please.
Can you describe where he or she is sitting and what he or she is wearing?
Yes, sir. Mr. Noel is sitting to my left in a blue jumpsuit, and he's got a line in his haircut.
All right. You can have a
Place
seat
your
now.
mask back on.
Thank you, Your Honor. May the record reflect that the officer has identified the defendant, Patrick Noel.
All right, noted.
All right, just a few more questions. With respect to the grinder, what did you see in there?
So inside the grinder, there was like small, I forget the exact verbiage, but like little bits of leftover marijuana that weren't taken out of the grinder when somebody had previously used it to grind the marijuana.
And you also observed United States currency on this defendant's person?
Yes, sir.
How much United States currency?
Approximately $348 in cash and approximately $8.91 in change.
And thank you. And can you describe the bagging of the various substances?
Yes, sir. So the marijuana was in 2 separate plastic bags. And the 60 MDMA pills were in 2 separate plastic cellophane bags as well. So if the report reads correctly, 59 of those were in 1 bag and 1 of those was separate in another plastic cellophane bag.
And was this incident caught on your body worn camera?
Yes, sir.
Were there any other cameras?
Yes, sir. There is a traffic camera near that location. There's probably more than 1 traffic camera, but I know for certain that one of them did capture part of the event.
Okay. And this was on the sidewalk?
The initial infraction occurred on the street, but the encounter between us and him occurred on the sidewalk.
On Alabama Street?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. How far was it from where you initially encountered the defendant in the street until you stopped him on the sidewalk?
He was about probably 4 or 5 feet onto the sidewalk, just walking straight from the street, going the same direction on the sidewalk that he was. So it was just a few seconds after he had gotten off the street.
Okay. It's just about a yard or 2 away?
Roughly, yes, sir.
Okay. And were there any witnesses?
Other than myself and the other officers, not that I recall.
Okay. And your purpose, you were just on your regular duty patrolling the area?
Yes, sir.
And what time did this incident take place?
Approximately 9:12 p.m.
Was it dark outside?
There's street lights in the area, so the sun was down, but it was well lit.
All right. And again, you were post certified on the 4th of September, 2022.
Yes, sir.
All right. No further questions for this witness at this time, Your Honor.
Cross?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Good morning, Officer
Good morning.
Danger. We'll
Yes,
make sure I pronounce it correctly.
You're good.
All right, so you work for Fulton Sheriff now, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
But at the time you worked for APD?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so on September 4th, you were patrolling Zone 5?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you saw an individual cross the crosswalk?
No, he did not use the crosswalk.
He didn't use the crosswalk? He crossed the middle of the street?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's when you detained him?
We tried to stop him and detain him. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's when you signaled to stop him?
Yes, ma'am.
And you approached him?
Yes, ma'am.
And you guys were on the side of the street at this time?
We were on the sidewalk. Yes, ma'am. In between Alabama and Peachtree Street.
Okay, and so you approached him. Was it just you alone?
No, ma'am.
You said there were other officers with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Who were the other officers with you?
Officer McDonald was with me. Officer Pearson was in the area, but I don't believe he was out on the stop with us. I think he was still in his vehicle.
Okay, but Officer McDonald was with you.
Yes, ma'am.
So he had the same point of view possibly as you from your observations?
She did, yes.
She did? Okay, my apologies. Okay, and so you and Officer McDonald stopped the individual?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that's when you started questioning them?
That's when we asked him to stop and he refused to stop. We told him we were going to detain him. He refused to comply.
Did you tell him what? I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't want you to cut you off on your testimony.
I was just saying he refused to comply. He physically resisted. So that's when we put him in handcuffs. And then we told him, dude, we were just trying to stop you because you crossed the street illegally after we had already announced ourselves.
Okay, so when you initially announced yourself, though, you didn't say, hey, we're stopping you because we saw you cross the crosswalk without, we saw you cross the street without using the crosswalk, correct?
Yes, he didn't even give us the chance to.
You gave no reason to, you did not tell him why you were detaining him.
We were trying to, and he kept saying, I don't want to stop. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you.
But you did not announce it. You did not say, well, we need to talk to you because we saw this. You never made that announcement to him?
We told him we need to talk to him and we couldn't get the words out because he said, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you. And he was walking away. We didn't want to continue talking to him while he's walking away because he wasn't listening. We had to stop him to make sure he can hear us.
So you physically stopped him before you told him why you wanted to talk with him, correct?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question?
You physically stopped him. You put hands on him physically to stop him before you gave him a reason for why you were detaining him.
Before we verbally gave him the reason, yes, ma'am. We told him to stop so that we could talk to him and tell him the reason.
Okay. And when he didn't, but you didn't, so again, I just want to be very clear. You did not say, hey, we are stopping you because you didn't use a crosswalk. We are detaining you because we saw you do a crime. You just said, hey, we want to talk to you. And he said, I don't want to talk to you, and kept walking, correct?
If I remember correctly, yes, we did not get to the part of telling him why before we stopped him.
So you initially detained him. He had no reason to believe that you were going to detain him for why you were, why you wanted to detain him.
He had reason to believe because we told him to stop and that we wanted to detain him. So we could
You
talk.
never gave a reason. You
We didn't
never.
get to that point, no. ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
I'm sorry, y'all keep talking over each other.
My apologies. I'll slow down and stop. Okay. So now you got him detained physically. You have him in cuffs?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so that's at that point when he's in cuffs, you tell him why you stopped him, correct?
Yes,
Okay. And then you said you searched him incident to arrest.
yes,
So you initially were planning to arrest him for crossing the crosswalk, well, not using the crosswalk.
we were going to detain him and talk to him. Now he's under arrest for resisting.
Okay. 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 So then you searched him incident for that. You searched him
Yes,
and you searched his bag. He had a bag on him, you're saying?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then did you search at the scene or did you wait? Did you just take the bag and search it at the station?
We searched it on scene.
On scene.
Yes.
And all this is on your body camera, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So then now you're going through the bag. You're saying that you found some marijuana in the bag, correct?
Among other things, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so the marijuana in the bag. And then you said you saw some pills in the bag,
Yes,
different
ma'am.
kinds of pills. Now you said on direct that they were MDMA.
Some of them were, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so can you describe these pills?
I honestly don't remember exactly what they looked like. This was a few months ago.
So you
So-
can't give us a color
The exact color of the pills, no, ma'am, not at the moment.
or the shape of the pills?
MDMA comes in a few shapes. So the ones that I was dealing with that day, I do not recall off the top of my head. I don't want to tell you something that's wrong.
So these pills could be sugar pills for all you know.
Well, we submitted them to the annex for testing. So
Have you gotten the results back for that?
no, ma'am,
Okay, so again, these pills could be sugar pills for all you know.
that is possible. But on my knowledge, training, and experience, they look very similar to the MDMA pills I have encountered before.
Okay, now you brought it up, let's get to your knowledge and training, particularly for drugs.
Sure.
Okay, so what kind of drug training have you received?
So training or experience? You mean training specifically?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have the mandate training. I have the field investigations training. That's a 2-week course where you do go over narcotics and you learn from other people who are on the narcotics unit.
Can you explain more on that training of how you can identify what is MDMA and what is just a sugar pill? By visually, I guess, with your training?
Yeah, so sometimes the MDMA, in my experience, it'll come in various shapes of like characters and things like that. Sometimes it'll be shaped like the Flintstones vitamins. Sometimes it'll be shaped like cartoon characters. It can come in a lot of different shapes. And normally if somebody is out there, in my experience, in that particular area as well, with them wrapped in plastic cellophane bags and selling them, it's, in my experience, it has been MDMA.
Have you received any particularized training for narcotics other than just what people have told you what they look like? Have you worked with labs and things like that so you can identify them on your own?
Labs in particular, no, ma'am. But as I had previously stated, I did take the field investigations training, in which we do work with people who are on the narcotics unit.
Okay. But again, you cannot right now tell us what color these pills were, what size, what shape.
These
any
particular ones
descriptions.
for this case,
Yeah, you have no knowledge of what descriptions, or at least you don't remember.
I don't remember now.
And you didn't put that in your report?
I don't believe so.
Some officers described the pills. You didn't describe the pills for us. You just called them these drugs, correct?
I've referenced them as MDMA pills. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so these other pills, you said there was 3 penicillin pills. What's your basis for knowing that was 3 penicillin pills and not, again, 3 sugar pills?
It's the same as before. I don't recall honestly what these look like.
Is penicillin a narcotic?
Is it narcotic?
Is it a narcotic?
I don't recall if I referenced the penicillin in this for the, as I was saying earlier, for the not being in the prescribed container. I don't recall.
Okay. And then the other pill, you said there was a hydrocodone pill, same issue, you can't recall any details?
Hydrochloride pill is what it's referred to as in the report. No, I don't remember. These are from September. I've had a lot of cases since that time, so I don't exactly recall what these particular ones look like.
Okay, so when you were arresting them, how were you able to identify that these were these different pills then? How were you able to identify it was a hydrocodone pill?
Because I saw what they looked like and they were right in front of me. And just right now, I couldn't tell you because I don't remember what they looked like. You'd have to go back and review the body cam.
Okay. Okay, so we'll move on. These 2 knives. On direct, you initially said you didn't recall what the knives look like, but then you were able to describe them. So which is it?
I referenced that I don't exactly remember the exact length of the blades of the knives. I know that they were roughly around the size of my index finger, but I don't recall the exact number.
Your index finger, that's the pointer finger?
Yes,
is that
ma'am.
correct?
Yes,
so
ma'am.
You're saying your index finger is 4 inches long?
Roughly.
Can we see your finger just so, because that's your basis first? Okay. Doesn't look like 4 inches, but okay. So you don't recall, but you remember that there was 2 knives?
Yes, ma'am.
And you said that they were about your index finger size?
Roughly.
But you didn't measure them?
I don't recall.
At no point in this investigation did you ever measure these knives?
No, I don't recall.
And you never, but these knives are in evidence now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you said they're the size of a pocket knife. So do you remember, does the knife fold out? Is it just a long knife? What's the description at all? Do you have any idea?
I don't recall.
Okay.
That's why I submitted them to evidence because they're still there or they should be. So.
Okay. But you didn't provide any photographs in your police report or any descriptions of these?
That's on the body cam. All the images are on the body cam.
And you had turned that over to the state and it's been preserved?
Yes.
Okay, great. Just one moment, Your Honor, let me just confirm. No, you didn't.
She said, damn, he didn't stop me selling no drugs.
No, you're not charged. We're not charged. No further questions at this time. Thank you, officer.
No problem.
Anything else from the state?
Nothing further from the state. We'll ask that our officer be excused at this time.
All right, this is your only case?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can be excused. Thank you. Stay safe out there.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Y'all have a good day.
All right, go ahead with the argument.
Appreciate it. Have a good one. All right. Yes, Judge, we'll ask that you find probable cause on all counts, all charges here. With respect to the substances found, we would submit that this officer was specifically part of a Zone 5 unit that its purpose was to combat drug-related activity in the area. And we would say that would also go to his knowledge, training, and
I think things just froze.
I think so.
We're back.
I'll log out and log back in.
All of the mics are muted.
Madam Defense Attorney, are you speaking? You're muted.
I just sent the judge a message to let her know that we can't hear. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think she
All
saw
right.
it just yet.
All right,
Okay,
thank you.
you. I don't think they can hear us.
Yeah, I'm not muted. But everybody else is muted.
They're froze again.
Okay,
Let me try calling Judge Manning. Oh, I can't call
thank
her. She's
you.
on the bench.
Thank you.
Can y'all hear me now?
I can, the court
Okay,
reporter,
you
yeah.
can.
Yes, I can hear too.
I'm trying to open up the Zoom controller, but you gotta make me host so that I can see if I can unmute the podium.
Okay, I did. I
All
made
right,
you.
Ms.
host.
Rowland, let me see if I can get my Zoom controller up. Let's see, so this is 1A, right? Now it said the session is expired. Let's see. Let's see. Let's try it this way. All right, hold on one second. Maybe I got. Hold on, I just gotta get the meeting ID for today. Hold on. Six, two, two, five, seven. Sure. Let's do this at a time. Let me see. Are they working on at the same time? I'm trying to I can unmute it if I could just invite the podium back. Maybe, yeah, I was gonna say, I was gonna. Because I mean, I can, let's see the finished podium. That's the only one that's not here. I can invite it from my, let's see, prosecutor. Is it the prosecutor or defendant? Okay, prosecutor. Let me see if they're letting me. Okay.